Okay, great. I'm going to just get started, and then when she arrives, we'll get going with her. So hi, everybody. Welcome. My name is Dana. I am the head of talent at OnRamp. If you have applied for an opportunity with us or have done an interview, you've received texts, emails from me, you may have seen me in an interview or in another one of the AMAs we've been running the past 2 weeks. I'm so happy to see all of these participants here. I will repeat this again, but if you have questions, please add them to the Q&A box rather than the chat. I'll be monitoring that box and presenting questions to the panelists popcorn style for them to answer as we kind of move through. Again, this is an opportunity for you to ask general questions about the cryptocurrency space. So what it's like to be in the industry, how and why to get involved, what's going on in the space, sort of general questions about all of that versus specific questions about this application period. So what we're going to do is do a round of introductions with Claire and Shauna. And I think it would be really helpful if you kind of talked about like how you got into the crypto, industry, like how you got interested, how you kind of got involved, and then maybe like what you're up to now. And then maybe just like whatever your areas of expertise or interest are so that participants will know like what kinds of questions to ask you. And for my participants, if you have a question that's specific to one of the panelists, feel free to just put their name in the question. If not, I'll just throw it out popcorn style for anyone to answer as they see fit. So Claire, you're next on my screen. I'll pop it over to you and then you can just give it to Shauna when you're done.
Awesome, thank you so much. Hi everyone, I'm so excited to be here. It's a beautiful day and I'm stoked on the crypto industry. It's incredible. I got interested in crypto in 2015. I think I read one of the earliest books on Bitcoin. It just like popped out of the shelf at me and I couldn't put it down. Invested soon thereafter. I've been in the education space for many years. Previous to that, I was a software engineer at Capital One, kind of in financial, working on financial products. Transitioned into education. I currently work for Pomp's Crypto Academy for Anthony Pompliano and for Natalie Brunell, coaching in her course as well. I'm the lead coach at Natalie's, and then I specialize in career transitions at Pomp's course. So I'm super interested in how we can get more ladies in the space, especially, and kind of that whole like, how do you brand yourself, storytell about yourself, like use your skills to jump into this nascent and super exciting place. Yeah, that's a little bit about me. Over to you.
Hey everyone, I'm so excited to be a part of this afternoon. My name is Shauna Walton, professionally known as Bitcoin Bombshell. I got started in the space back in 2017 and at the suggestion of my boyfriend. So I found that once I started moving around in the space, I saw very little diversity, very little women that look like me, women in general. And so I realized that there was a lane that was open. So I started a Bitcoin Bombshell Instagram page and it took off from there. I was featured on CNBC. I've done a bunch of like panels and I was doing, before the pandemic, a meetup called Cocktails and Crypto, where people would just come out and we would have cocktails and we would talk crypto. I found that it was a much more welcoming space when it was women-led, because sometimes women can be intimidated if the room is overwhelmingly male. So just me standing up there, even though it's just like fielding questions and people in the audience were answering questions, it was good to just have a woman in the space. And I've been doing that. I've moved everything is pretty much online now. So bitcoinbombshell.com, I have a webinar up there. As well as I do like one-on-one consultations for people that are interested in onboarding and opening accounts and just, answering general questions. And yeah, that's what I've been doing. And that's what led me to being here so far.
Great, thank you both. We've got some great questions coming in. I'm going to repeat this one more time for those of you that just joined us. If you have questions, please enter them in the Q&A box. I'll be monitoring that and just presenting those questions to our panelists. This is a great time to ask any questions that you have about cryptocurrency, about the industry, about how to get involved versus questions that are specific to the application with Coinbase. There are no dumb questions. This is Crypto 101. So even if you have a newbie question, our panelists are here to answer for you. you. So please feel free to share any questions you have. I can see some great ones coming in, so we're going to dive in. So let's see which one to start with. There's some really great ones. Here's a great one. What about crypto do you think is different than other industries?
I could take that. I would say everything. The main thing is that it is something that is self-contained. So it's peer-to-peer, person-to-person, no involvement of the bank, which is a way that people have never been able to transfer money before. And it is the future, in my opinion. So we started with paper money, then we moved to plastic money, and now we have electronic money. And that's kind of the way that I look at it. I use cryptocurrency more as an investment than as something that I'm using to, pay for goods and services. To me, it's a little too risky to spend any of my Bitcoin just to buy, something, and then the price might go up a huge amount, and then I will have paid much more than I should have for it. So to me, Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies is something like we never seen before. And I think that's what people are so anxious about, because they're not, it's not something they're familiar with. So the kids that are coming up now, they've grown up with Roblox and iPads and all of those different type of virtual world gameplay. They'll be fine with it, but it's us that need to learn and become acclimated.
I totally agree with that. I would say Naval has a tweet from a couple days ago that really resonated with me. It said crypto is not a subset of finance. Finance is a subset of crypto. And I think that is so true. Crypto is really our transition into Web3. It's our entry into this kind of metaverse, this online presence that we have. And yes, we've had Twitter and we've had Instagram, we've had these things that we open our phones and we look at. This is truly a way to interact, to trade value, to give my value to you and you to me via the internet as a vehicle. And I think that is kind of the biggest thing that I think about on a day-to-day basis. Crypto is just the rails on which we're transacting. And it's basically a way of storing energy, a really, really decentralized, and I think safe way as we move forward and we kind of understand how to hold it and how to spend it and how to grow it. It is actually a much safer way long-term than our fiat system. So that's kind of my thinking on what crypto is.
Beautiful. I know you're both going to have some great answers to this question. What resources would you recommend to become more literate in crypto?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you got it.
You sure?
Yeah, you go start.
Okay.
Start off.
I mean, there's so many. I can probably name 20, and then Claire will get on here and name a whole different 20. The first thing I think that a lot of people are unsure about, but this is my personal opinion, is that you don't need to know everything. You're not going to be able to know everything. There's constant coins, different things popping up every single day, every single minute. So you have to just try to get the basics down, and the basics you can research. You can do a simple Google, read the Bitcoin white paper. That is step one for cryptocurrency. So they'll just give you a general understanding. It's not very long. It's not hard to understand. So once you read the Bitcoin white paper, you'll have a better understanding and hopefully feel confident enough to invest. And then in my opinion, once you have some skin in the game, then you become even more interested. So then there's just so many different channels. There are tons of information on YouTube. My website has a lot of, it's a good starting point for, anyone who is unfamiliar with anything. And there's the book, The Bitcoin Standard. That is a great one. It's a little bit longer than the Bitcoin white paper, but very approachable. It's just so much, she works with Anthony Pompliano. He's a great resource. And you want to try to stay away from I would say the Forex sort of crypto traders, the people that are saying that they're trading. You want to stay away from those people and just try to get the basic information down, because you're going to have your projects that you fall in love with. And those are like, it's just like a stock. Like there are companies that you like more than other companies. So there are going to be cryptocurrencies that you like more than other cryptocurrencies, and people are very passionate about it. And you don't want to let other people kind of steer your feelings. So you just do your own research. That's like one of our main things that we say in the crypto space all the time, is do your own research. And there's tons out there. You just start with Google and, videos on YouTube.
Yeah, what an incredible answer. I agree with everything. I think Bitcoin Standard would be number one for me. The white paper, you're going to read it at first and you're going to be like, WTF is going on? I have no idea. And then those questions that you have are going to prompt Google searches, and you're going to go down into the rabbit hole. With crypto, they're find people that coin maxis, and that's all you'll find ETH maxis, and that's all they buy. You'll find people who are shilling all these different coins. You'll find people who are into NFTs. Like there's so much into digest that I would really recommend picking a bucket and kind of going down that rabbit hole. Twitter is a really big place of communication in this space. Find some good people on Twitter. Anthony Pompliano, I not to like pump him up, but that is how one of the big people that brought me into this space, into the Bitcoin space. He's one of those honest brokers, those people that is just trying to educate people, and I highly recommend his content. If you're into NFTs, there's this whole deep dive world into NFTs. And I think my biggest thing, like besides research, is just make sure that you're not spending money getting into this space. Like, yes, you can take a class and you can spend some money on a class. And I actually do recommend that. If you're a woman, Natalie Brunell's class is all women, and it's really a wonderful space to be in. Shauna, it would be cool to take a class from you and kind of deep dive there. But make sure that you're not getting on an exchange and listening to these YouTube videos shilling coins and just being like, oh, I'm going to get into Shiba, or I'm going to get into this thing. And then suddenly you might be up, but you might be out $1,000, $2,000, or $500, however much you're spending. And that's a really dangerous place to be in, because this space is not about just making money on your investments. It is truly an on-ramp to the future. And it's not just this vehicle for financial wealth. So that's kind of where I start. I would start with Twitter, read the white paper, Bitcoin Standard, Anthony Pompliano. There's a whole deep dive on Twitter. Also, feel free to DM either one of us. I'm sure, Shauna, I don't want to speak for you, but feel free to DM me and I will happily point you in the right direction. I've got lots of lists, lots of resources for you.
Yeah, you can also DM me as well. And then we forgot Clubhouse.
Yeah.
There are lots of NFTs. There's so many Clubhouse rooms that are talking NFTs. There's the Black Billionaires Club there on Clubhouse. Also, they host like a Bitcoin wake up morning show every day where you can just go on there and ask questions. You want to kind of stay away from people, like Claire was saying, that are like pushing things, and just, listen to the people that are giving you general information on the technology, and not like their passion projects that they're trying to,
Yeah, you got to remember that the people that are pushing projects often are invested in the projects. And so they're the ones that are going to make money on you by you buying coins. I also really like Naval, like the tweet I mentioned earlier. He's not a crypto kind of person only, so to speak. He's a Silicon Valley investor. He deep dive there. But I often go to, when I first started, I went to Twitter and I followed the people that I followed. So like Anthony Pompliano, I would look at his list, and it's quite short, and I would go kind of cherry pick people that I was interested in on their lists. And that's a really good way to kind of curate and make sure your content is really, really solid.
So as you can tell, there are infinite resources out there, but I just want to thank you both for those level-headed responses. I do think for a lot of people getting interested in crypto, there are these sort of meme coins that are very enticing. You hear stories of people becoming Dogecoin millionaires or whatever that might be, but cryptocurrency is much larger than meme coins. It's bigger than dog coins. And to Shauna's point, like, it is the future. And there is a much larger context, to kind of get involved and educated on. Quick thing, Claire, your video is sort of like stopping, and sometimes your voice, I don't know if this is happening for anyone else, but your voice is breaking up a little bit. So was that happening for you, Shauna? Can you see it on your end?
Yeah.
I'll
So
try to find a better place.
yeah, either that or I've done a million video calls. Sometimes just turning the video off will open up the audio channel. I mean, it's not ideal because it's nice to see facial expressions, but just
Is it
offering that
coming
as well.
coming through a little bit better?
Let's see if it breaks up again. If it does, I'll let you know,
Okay.
but typically that solves the problem.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, we have so many great questions coming in. This will just be a quick one. This is from Adrian, and no, this is not a silly question. Adrian wants to know why it's called crypto.
Because it is encrypted. It's created with cryptography. So it's short for cryptocurrency. So it's an encrypted currency, a currency created through cryptography.
Beautiful. And then Abraham has a great question. Aside from investing into cryptos that we're interested in or bullish on, what's other ways that we can get involved?
That's a great question. I would start by just using products. So sometimes what we recommend for some of our students is if you're interested in working, so this is more like a career oriented type thing. If you're interested in working in the industry, just go find some products that you like and actually use them. So like go to an exchange, put $1 or $5 in, feel the UX, feel like what's going on there. Get on Twitter, interact with people, join spaces, ask lots of questions. Like you're here, and that is fantastic. That's exactly where you should be if you're interested in the space. Is you should be in spaces with other people who are a few months ahead or a few years ahead, asking these questions, and that's a great place to kind of get involved and start understanding the ecosystem.
Also, Coinbase has a great feature called the Earn. It's an Earn feature where they give you small amounts of cryptocurrency for like answering questions. So you would answer questions, about 2 or 3 questions, and then you get like a small amount of each of the new cryptocurrencies. And so it's a cryptocurrency that's new to their site that they've just listed. So sometimes, you know, they'll give you something and then it ends up being very profitable, or you just become interested in it. So you learn a little background and you earn a few coins, and then you can always trade those coins into and convert them to anything else that you'd like. But I think it's a nice way to kind of like pique your interest for new projects that are like coming down the pipeline, and they have some sort of legitimacy if they've made it to Coinbase. So I do like the earn component that's on there.
Yeah, I would also say DAOs are a really interesting space. DAOs stand for Decentralized Autonomous Organizations, which is just a really fancy way of saying that it's a group of like 5 to 10 people, usually experts or like people that have a deep interest in a shared passion. And then they have a shared multi-sig address, which is basically an encrypted bank account, essentially. And they work on a project together. And those are often open source. And so there'll be a Discord server or a Twitter feed or a Clubhouse where everyone gets together and kind of works on projects. And that can be a really, really fun and low bar way to get involved in this space and kind of take on as little or as much as you want. If you Google, and Shauna, you might know this, I can't remember the website off the top of my head, but there's basically a DAO universe website that lists like every DAO that's out there. I'm sure there's some missing, but for the most part, there's like 1,000 DAOs on there now. So the chances are, if you're interested in something, that space with those people will be there ready and waiting for you to get involved.
Great. There's so many good questions coming, so let's keep going through them. I can almost hear the answers coming from this question. What are the risks of keeping your crypto investment on an exchange instead of in a hardware or software wallet?
You go.
Well, as someone who has been hacked and lost crypto, I try not to keep track of how much it was, because then I'll be hurt and upset. But you want to move your cryptocurrency off the exchange and into a hardware wallet, into cold storage. If it lives on the exchange, there is a chance that the exchange can be hacked, and either you can personally be hacked and your account can be wiped out, or the actual exchange can be hacked and lots of people can lose their money. So if you have any substantial amount, which to me is any money because it's yours, you just don't want to lose it, I would say invest in a hardware wallet. They range from about 60 to 150 to 200 bucks, depending on what you get. I actually have an article about that on my website. And It's just a USB drive looking gadget that goes into the side of your computer, and you offload your cryptocurrency from the exchange onto the wallet. Here's the issue. Some exchanges are just custodial exchanges, and they do not allow you to move your crypto off the exchange. I do not recommend those exchanges. That would be like a Robinhood. They're working on a crypto wallet. It hasn't been activated yet. There's also PayPal. They have crypto. You can't move it off the platform. So you want to make sure when you're getting into crypto and you're buying it off an exchange, that you have the capability to move it off the exchange and into a hardware wallet. The only thing, which if you want to look at it as a bad thing, is that you don't have immediate access to it if it's on the hardware wallet, because you would have to be wherever the hardware wallet is in your laptop or your computer in order to move it from point A to point B if you wanted to sell it or spend it. So that's the only thing. There's like a time delay, but other than that, if you're not giving out your passcodes or you haven't lost your device, your crypto will be safe in a hardware wallet. You do have to be in charge of it and make sure you don't misplace it. Make sure you don't have it laying around. Don't store the password along with the actual device, because if someone happens to, take it, you have no way of getting it back. They will have the access to all your cryptocurrency. So I think it is more risky to leave your cryptocurrency on the exchange than in the hardware wallet. I highly recommend hardware wallets.
Yeah, totally agree. I would also say turning on any two-factor authentication, turn on all the security features that are available to you for whatever exchange you're using. For example, Coinbase Pro has two-factor authentication. Celsius Network, which is another type of exchange, has biometrics, also two-factor authentication. So you put your kind of code into a second app on your phone. They also have a PIN. Like, just turn it all on, because you don't want that stuff hacked. And so the other thing to remember about that, and you'll hear this a lot in the crypto space, is not your keys, not your coins. What they're referring to is when you create a wallet, whether it's a hot wallet or a cold wallet being offline, a hot wallet being online. When you create that wallet, there is a private key that is created with it. That private key enables you to sign transactions. And so if I was to send money to OnRamp or elsewhere, I would have to sign that transaction. And if it was an online question, if it was a hot wallet that I was using, it would be connected to the internet. Someone might be able to hack my wallet, get that key, and be able to sign any transaction. When you're coming offline into that cold wallet, that private key is stored. That device gives you access to that private key, and it's the only thing that gives you access. So it's a little bit of a misnomer to think of the coins being stored in that device. It's rather that device is giving you access to the place in the ether sphere where the coins reside, kind of on the blockchain. But yeah, that was got a little bit like of a deeper security answer to the kind of overarching question. But if you're keeping money online, just keep a small amount and turn on all the two-factor authentication that you can. Yes, that's my answer.
I have one more thing to add, which was something that I learned the hard way. And I'd highly recommend it, and I tell it to everybody that I talk to. When you start getting into cryptocurrency, I suggest you create a separate email address just to use for your transactions on the exchanges and so on and so forth. Even your regular banking. Use a separate email address, preferably an encrypted one. There are tons of free encrypted email accounts that you can start. I say this because what happened to me is that I was a victim of a SIM card swap. So someone was able to port over my information from my phone over into another phone, and they were able to change all my email addresses and get into all my accounts and like totally wipe me out. So if you have a separate email address that is not on your phone, So the separate email address you would only access from either a laptop or a desktop computer. Then if somebody happens to do like a SIM swap on your phone, they won't even know that email address exists because you never access it from your phone. So you want to make sure, you know, how they have, you know, your little icon with your email addresses. Don't put the financial email address that you've created. Don't put that on your phone. Don't access it from your phone.
I totally agree. That is incredible advice.
This kind of dovetails into the next question, I think really nicely, which is like, what would you say are the biggest cons of cryptocurrency?
Ugh, the coins. There's so many altcoins. I feel, yeah, I would go with that one. There's so much money pouring into this space that there's a lot of bad actors coming into it. I think for the most part, I've felt so supported and so welcomed into the crypto space, and it was hard as a woman. It's definitely a weird kind of paradigm. You look around you and everyone's the white cis male, and that's hard. And you know, and I'm not BIPOC, I'm just LGBTQ, so that's like it's just like a weird paradigm. But so that's one thing. And then but the hardest part is that there's so many people who want your attention and who want to sell you something, and then that can be, and there's this like anxiety around making money, that I think most people feel of, oh, but there's a Shiba Inu coin and there's a Floki coin and there's a this coin, and I can make, like, look at all these people making millions of dollars. And I really want to encourage everyone to take a step back and say, if I can grow my wealth slowly, if I can understand what I'm getting into and kind of take the long path, take the long and sound path, that will really be a really great growth opportunity, rather than kind of getting sucked into the altcoins and the shilling and the YouTube videos that are trying to sell you something. Yeah, that would be my biggest thing. And my second biggest thing would be the security part that we just talked about can be really overwhelming. I can feel like, oh my God, I don't know how to keep my money safe, and a hot wallet and a cold wallet and security and like all these things, right? But just if you take it slowly and you really take your time, take that long road, it will come. And you're not missing out. You might be missing out on like this week's gains or next week's gains, but I promise you, we are so early in this space that you will be in a really, really solid place if you take your time kind of wading into the fray.
Yeah, the cons for me are it's not necessarily a con. It's that a lot of people don't want to take responsibility for it. So this is like, now you're in charge of your money. It's not FDIC insured. The bank is not taking care of it for you. You're a grown-up and this is your money. You have to protect it. You have to keep it safe. And that means that you have to enact the features. You have to, be mindful of where you're storing information. Don't fall for like, there are tons of phishing scams. It's not regulated. So people are just, if they are able to get your money from you, you can't get it back. And that's, a hard pill for people to swallow. People are used to being able to, say, hey, you took this, give it back to me. You're in charge of it. So you have to protect it. And that's something that, a lot of people don't necessarily want to take responsibility for. So that can become a con, because it's like with great, responsibility, because, you have to be in charge of it yourself. You can't just look for someone to, keep your stuff protected. So that is a major con. Also, like Claire mentioned, the fact that there are so many coins, you're constantly being pulled in different directions. You only have but so much money. People are like, are you still buying? I'm like, I don't have any more money to buy anything. I bought everything that I could buy. You can't.
Oh my God, preach. I'm right there with you.
You can't jump on every single project that comes out. And, with Dogecoin, with Shiba and all those things, a lot of times people are getting lucky. And if you're fortunate enough to get lucky on a meme coin, great. Hopefully you sell at the top and you move it into a project that has some foundation and some substance and that does something. You don't want to just, I've seen people, it's weird because people will come to me and show me their accounts, which is crazy because you would never do that in any other space. But a guy comes up to me, he's like, hey, he has like $300,000 in Doge. I'm like, if you don't sell that,
sell it.
like, are you crazy? Are you just going to try to ride this till the wheels fall off? Like, this coin can drop to zero tomorrow and it'll be like, oh yeah, I made, this amount of money in Doge, but then it drops. Like, you don't have any money until you sell. So make sure you guys are taking profits and, just not thinking that like the wave won't end and everything that goes up must come down.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off that last bit too. You don't have the money until you sell. And also when you sell, you have capital gains. So if you're day trading, if you're really riding those altcoins and you're like Shiba, and now I'm in Flucky, and now I'm in Solana, or whatever, you pick your poison. Every time you sell, you're gonna pay taxes at the end of the year. And that is a dangerous game to play, because if you lose money overall, you are still paying capital gains. And so you want to make sure that you're tracking that. If you are day trading, I highly recommend, which I don't recommend, but if you are, I would highly recommend tracking your buys and using a tax software like TaxBit that will actually be able to track your capital gains in crypto. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to write that down. I didn't know about that.
So I'm going to walk it back to a pretty 101 level because we do have some people writing in questions that aren't trading, they're not following the meme coins. And there's some even more basic questions that I think would be really amazing to answer, just so that we're all on the same page. So I'm wondering if one of you could walk us through, or maybe take, a few questions each, a few terms each. What does it mean, fiat? What does it mean to mine cryptocurrency? And what is Web 3.0, basically?
Yeah. Do you want to come popcorn, Shauna?
Oh, okay. We can.
Or is there one you want to take?
I'll do fiat.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
Fiat is cash. It's just another word for money. So instead of saying dollars, because dollars is just for the US, you say fiat, and that covers like all. It's cash.
Yeah, fiat, I would add to that that it's also a government currency. So it's a centralized currency. So when you hear, oh, that's fiat, it's like any central bank currency that is issued from one issuer.
And then we have, what does it mean to mine cryptocurrency, and what is Web 3.0?
Sure, I'll do Web 3.0 first. Web 3.0 is this next layer of the web. So previous we have TikTok and Instagram and these things that we interact with on our phones, right? So something that is 2D. Web 3.0 is this next kind of thing we're moving into. You'll sometimes hear it talked about as the metaverse, often on Twitter. And it's this place where everything interacts. So your cryptocurrency, your NFTs, your DAOs, everything is taking place on the web and is kind of talking to each other. So you can think about, like, if anyone's seen or read Ready Player One, that's like the advanced Web 3.0, right? You're sitting in a room anywhere in the world, you put on your VR goggles, you put on your haptic gloves, and you're able to interact with anyone, anywhere, at any point in time through the digital universe. That's kind of Web 3.0, like the utopian vision of what Web 3.0 is.
That's exactly what I was thinking about. As soon as you said like the metaverse is like Ready Player One, which is very scary if you actually think about it.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah, it's like utopian and also extremely dystopian at the same time.
Yeah.
And then mining. Did you want to add anything to metaverse, Shauna?
No.
Okay. And then mining is the way that Bitcoin is programmatically brought online. So if you think about Bitcoin is basically in the like most basic terms, it's just a protocol. It's basically a database that is stored in many different computers all over the world. And every transaction is recorded in that database, which is called the blockchain, and then linked to the next transaction and the next and the next. And those bunches of transactions are just called blocks. So every 10 minutes, a new block is quote unquote mined. And so mining is this act where someone plugs in a computer that is just built to do this one algorithm, and this one algorithm is churning and churning and churning, and it's trying to find a random number in that kind of crypto in the blockchain, and it's trying to verify transactions. And so if it finds that number, then that miner, which is the owner of the mining rig, or the miner itself rather, is just a computer basically, gets a certain amount of Bitcoin. Right now it's 6.5 Bitcoin. And that 6.5 Bitcoin is kind of created, and that goes onto the blockchain and is now owned by that miner. So that is the act of mining. But really, it's what secures the network. It's the thing that keeps those transactions going. It keeps them safe. It verifies them and makes them sure that they're correct. That is what mining is.
Perfect.
Nicely done. This is a great question from Marcus, because I think that sometimes we can think that the only thing you can do in crypto is be a day trader or be a developer. But I think both of you could speak to the larger context of this question. What types of careers are there in crypto?
Well, there are as anything you can think of. So, and then in lots of things that you're familiar with already. So if you have let's say Coinbase, for example, they need people to answer the phones. They need people to run their IT department. They need customer service. They need all of the things that every other company needs, except it's focused around crypto. But you do not have to be a crypto expert in order to get a job in a cryptocurrency space. You should be interested in it or open to learning about it, but you do not have to be an expert. There are little to no experts. Every time I sit on a panel, they say, oh, cryptocurrency expert, like, I'm no expert, I'm still learning. I don't know anybody who's put in 10,000 hours into crypto just yet. It hasn't been around that long. And so yeah, if you want to get into the cryptocurrency space, there are plenty of jobs, traditional roles, as well as, more inventive roles. Or if you can think of a space like myself, you can create a lane for yourself in the cryptocurrency space. But they need software engineers, they need, they need PR people, they need marketers, they need everything that every other company needs. You just have to be savvy or open to learning about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I totally agree. Creating your lane is a really interesting space right now for crypto, just because there's so much information, and the biggest part is parsing it. The biggest part is like understanding what is important and what is not. So it's a really cool path to take. And then, like Shauna said, there's literally thousands of jobs out there in the crypto space. It is growing so fast. They are looking for people, for talented people, for people who have experience in other careers. And yeah, we're just here to remind you that you don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be an expert to be in this space. There's marketers, PR, there's founders, there's just like the industry is so hungry for new talent. So yeah.
This next question is from Candace, and I'm really interested to hear your answers. Do you think crypto will be pivotal in facilitating or accelerating positive social change through financial equity?
Oh, wow. I wish Tavana was here, because that is what her whole platform is about. I'll do a little bigging her up since she's not here. She has a coin that she created called Block Coin, and it is created to be circulated in the Black community. And that's just one way. So if there's an audience, I'm overloaded with coins right now. I couldn't even tell you another one. I just thought of Tavana's, but there is that, I'm sure Claire can maybe give an example of coins that are geared towards social change, or just whatever project you can think of, because literally anyone can create a coin. So and then in that you can create an ecosystem where there are different benefits that are attributed to the specific coin.
Yeah, that's a great point. There's also a huge wealth transfer happening right now. I believe it's around $30 trillion changing hands worldwide, from the previous generation to this generation. And over 60% of this generation that is receiving wealth are women. And so this is a huge opportunity to not only grow that wealth, but to grow it for the future. And if you're not understanding the crypto ecosystem today, then tomorrow is a great place to start, because it is the future. Whether you're investing in that awesome women-centric coin or an environmental coin, or if it's just Bitcoin or Ethereum, and you're really just holding and hodling, as it were, in this space, it is a fantastic way to lock in and kind of create immutable, so unchangeable policy around your own money. It gives you understanding around money, and also the ability to hold your own without anyone being able to change it. So yeah, I totally agree.
And cryptocurrency donations are untaxed as well. So there's that.
Know that. Here's another great question. What would you say about the potential for inflation using cryptocurrency since it isn't backed by gold?
It depends on the coin. So if you look at Bitcoin, the programmatic monetary policy around Bitcoin is there's only ever 21 million ever going to be created. And so they're infinitely divisible into Satoshis. So by programmatic monetary policy, it is a deflationary currency, which is not true for other coins, such as Dogecoin, which is basically a copy of Bitcoin's code, but with an unlimited amount created. And so that type of coin, just like fiat, like US currency, is inflationary by dent of that it's always being created, a certain amount of being created every day. So when you have a limited amount of something and you are just cutting it into smaller and smaller chunks, that is deflationary. So it just depends coin to coin.
Yeah. I think it's also important, just coming back to fiat. So for example, the US dollar is a fiat currency. It is no longer backed by gold. When we went off the gold standard in 1971, it became an inflationary currency, and we don't have enough gold to back up the amount of US dollars that are currently in circulation.
Yeah, by quite a lot now. Every time we raise the debt ceiling, that becomes a more and more laughable thing. So yeah.
This is a question about NFTs. So Asher's been getting into NFTs, but finds gas fees confusing. Can you explain what gas fees are?
They're expensive. I might have to let Claire take this because I am not a big NFT person. I appreciate them and I need to learn more so I can get into it. I am an Ethereum holder, so I'm thankful that the NFT space exists because it's Ethereum, as well as some other coins as well. But yeah, as far as the gas fees, I see that a lot going on, and I think it's, I'll let Claire take it, but I think it's something about how much it costs to send.
So basically there's, like we talked about for Bitcoin, there's kind of this endless chain of transactions going back to the end of time, right? And going forward. So let's say we're here in the present, and every second there's like 1,000 transactions happening. The network doesn't know how to process. In the Ethereum network, it's unclear. If you didn't have gas, it would be unclear which ones to process first, right? Because there's no like inherent reward, no kind of Bitcoin reward for processing them. So what miners get in exchange, or what for like the processing fee, really is called a gas fee. And it's just the fee that it costs to process your transaction first. So the more you pay, the faster your transaction gets processed. And so the less you pay, the longer it takes for your transaction to happen. So in NFT land, if you're trying to mint something super fast and you're like, oh my God, this is the rarest NFT I've ever seen. This is like Super Punk 5.0, right? And you're like trying to mint it, but you're not willing to pay a high gas fee, your minting process is going to get stretched out for like a day or two. Whereas the person who's willing to pay a high gas fee will get it more upfront. And so the more NFTs gets popular, the more crowded the network gets, the more people are willing to pay higher fees, the more the fee becomes. that's kind of a gas fees in a nutshell.
Yeah, and then miners pick which, of course, the ones that are going to pay
Yep.
more, and they
Yep.
those first.
Yep.
This is a really awesome, just broad question from Anthony. Why does crypto have value?
Oh, wow. Why does US currency have value? Right? It's because we said it does.
Yep.
Somewhere along the line, someone decided that paper money would be the way that we transact value. And so this is basically money 2.0. It's the same reason that gold has value. There's like some intrinsic worth to it. You can use it as jewelry, right? And it's kind of beautiful. It's in some microchips. But beyond the intrinsic value of it, it is valuable because we say it's valuable. And gold, for example, has had 5,000 years to develop or to accrue its value. And the Bitcoin value, which is kind of the beginning cryptocurrency, and there's many, as we talked about, many since, has had 12 years at this point to accrue value. And somewhere somebody had ordered a pizza, and that was the first time that it was really thought of as you could exchange value for something else. And it's kind of grown from there.
I'm just going to say this quickly because some people are saying that they need to leave early. This is being recorded. It will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. So you can always come back and take a look and catch the answers to some of these questions, especially if you miss some of the things because we're moving quickly. There's another kind of question that I've seen asked in a few different ways, which is that, and I know none of us can predict the future, right? So I just want to kind of like put the question in this context, like none of us have a crystal ball, but a few people are asking, like, do you really see cryptocurrency or blockchain technology kind of taking over the legacy financial system?
Anything is possible. I think that it is very feasible. And initially, I have this hashtag that I always use, say, if you can't beat them, join them. So at first, when cryptocurrency emerged, financial institutions were not on board. They tried to ban it. Governments tried to ban it, but they've realized that it is unstoppable. So they've just realized that they should learn how to get money from it. So now they can regulate it and then tax it and things like that. So I do think that it does have the capacity to take over what we have been using. And it would only make sense because, like I said, we had the progression from, we were doing bartering with like shells and feathers, and then we moved to paper money, and now we have plastic money, and now we have electronic money. All of the transactions that we're doing already exist in the digital space. You don't get paper checks anymore. Everything is a mobile deposit. You pay your bills that way. So this is just another step in that direction. And I think once it becomes more adopted by the rest of the world, I think that is the direction that it's going in. And I think it's to their benefit because since things are recorded on the blockchain, it is not up for debate anymore. If it's there, it exists, and it's undisputable. So I do think that is the way we're going, for better or for worse.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like right now there's asymmetric upside to the people that are investing to the space because we're so early. There's going to be a lot of people that benefit from the transition, and it's not going to be overnight. It's going to be over the next 5-10 years. But like Shauna said, it's going to get slowly integrated into the system until we're not even talking about it anymore. It's just the way that it functions. It's not just going to be like, oh, are you interested in crypto? That would be like saying like, oh, are you interested in dollars? It's like, yeah, I mean, everyone's interested in dollars, right? It's just going to be, it's no longer going to be this like new and shiny thing. I do feel like blockchain is a technology that will revolutionize the way we store information, not just in the crypto world, but for medical records and for literally anything you can think about. Yeah, it's going to change things, but I don't feel like the majority of people will notice. It's just going to be an underlying layer.
Another question is, the government has concerns around use of cryptocurrencies for illegal activities such as tax evasion, money laundering, terrorism financing, and loss of control over monetary policy and flight of capital overseas. Are the government's concerns valid?
No. I mean, they are in the way that they should have the same concerns over cash money. I mean, 9 times out of 10, if you're doing some sort of illegal transactions by dropping off a bag of cash, it's not being laundered through Bitcoin. And, as far as people saying, Bitcoin is anonymous, it's not. You can see the actual transaction, every transaction that's done, and it can be tracked. So, no, I think I should say yes, their concerns, they shouldn't have a concern unless they're being concerned about everything. I think they wanted to attack cryptocurrency because it's a new thing, but it has just as much capability to be used for illegal transactions as any other thing. The upside is that, it's worldwide, so you can do those transactions very fast, and they go across border lines in a way that we haven't been able to do anymore. But when people want to do illegal things, they find a way. So I don't think it's more or less worse than, what people have been doing so far or before.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Cash is much more untraceable, much more launderable than cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency, by dint of blockchain, is highly traceable. It is highly transparent. Yes, you can move money around and you can shill people and you can steal, but you can do that with cash too in a much more physical way. So in the crypto space, we call that a question like that, or kind of that ethos, FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And it's something that comes up over and over again as this crypto space grows. It's part of the scary part of change is governments often want to control what they don't understand yet.
Great answers. So in the Coinbase AMA, it was discussed how cryptocurrency helps to level the playing field for people in developing countries. Can you speak a little bit about this?
Yeah, so one of the things, a lot of people in the United States, we're using Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to generate money. But in other countries that have their economy has been decimated by inflation, which we may very well be on our way to ourselves, they're using it for actual transactions. So lots of countries in Africa and Kenya, Nigeria, you got places in South America, they have adapted Bitcoin and cryptocurrency because they have nothing to lose. We are still, holding on to our dollar, but their dollar has been worthless for quite some time. So now this is something that retains its value. If I send you a half a Bitcoin from the United States, it's going to be still worth a half a Bitcoin wherever you go in the world. So they're actually on the forefront as well as far as utilizing the cryptocurrency. We're more, the United States is more in the forefront as far as holding on to it for investment purposes.
Yeah, that is an incredible answer. I would also add the access to capital is a big part for countries like Afghanistan. When that whole retreat happened earlier this year, Western Union just pulled out of Afghanistan. So suddenly all those remittances went away. All the people working abroad went away. People couldn't access their money, couldn't get family members money. And so Bitcoin offers, if you have an ability, even over a smartphone, to get access to the internet, you can have your own bank account, but it's not with a bank. It's something that you control. It is your own access to capital, and that is huge around the world. And like Shauna said, we are in the US are using it as an investment use case, right? We're hoping to profit off our money, but other people are just actually having access to money is the first step.
Great. I think we have time for just one more question, and I'd love to hear from both of you. Why do you think it's important for someone to get educated, get involved, get interested about cryptocurrency?
Do you want to go first, Clara?
Oh, you got it.
Okay. Because pretty soon they're not going to have a choice. This is the way that things are moving. And so I always say get on board or get left behind. We do, if you look throughout history, it's the early adopters that are able to benefit the most from new technology being implemented. And right now, there are lots of people that ask me, are we too late? No, you're not too late. If you knew that this was going to be valued at $100,000, $150,000, $200,000 in 6 months, a year's time, would you think that $60,000 was too expensive? Absolutely not. You would find it to be a bargain. So I think educate yourself, take a little time, do some research, and embrace the new technology, because this is 100% the direction that the world is moving, and you do not want to be late to the party.
Yeah, I totally, I couldn't have said it better myself. The best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is today. And regardless of kind of what we think, there is like 60 or 70% of the next generation, Gen Z, Gen Y, are believe in crypto. And so would you rather be on the side of youth, the generation coming up, or would you rather be on the side of those other elder millennials and boomers, right? You want to be with the sea change and kind of grabbing hold of that, and adopting is, even if you're not investing, even if you just understand it, that is a start, and that is the best place to be, to approach this from a place of understanding and interest rather than fear and confusion.
Beautiful. Thank you both so much. And as a proud member of Gen X, you can't be too old to get into crypto. You can always learn something new, even late in the game of life. I had a few people ask if you could just repeat your Twitter handles and websites, just so that people can find you afterwards and check out your resources and what you've put out there. So would you mind each both sharing that again?
Yeah, absolutely. My Twitter handle, which is the best place to get hold of me, is C as in the letter C, M as in mother. So CM Jenks, JENCKS, CM Jenks. And you'll see it on my name on the Zoom screen. Thank you. And then if you're interested in taking one of the classes that I teach via Pomps or Natalie Burnell, you can go to Pomps Crypto Academy, or Women in Bitcoin is the second website. And then if you're interested in getting a small group together or doing an individual session, I also teach those. We've had 600, almost 700 people go through Pomps Crypto Academy. And I've helped many of them get jobs in the space. And I'm so down. I'm so here for it. I want to help you. We can figure out a way to make it happen. So thank you so much for having me. It's been such a pleasure. And Shauna, it's been wonderful to meet you as well. I'm so excited that we've got to be on this panel together.
Yeah, same here. You can contact me. I'm on Twitter at BTC Bombshell. But I do most of my interaction on social media on Instagram, which is Bitcoin Bombshell. And then my website is bitcoinbombshell.com. It was such a pleasure. I am actually an acquaintance of Mr. Ross. So I'm so glad that I had the chance to come on and talk to you guys. You're doing amazing things in the space. Claire, it was great to meet you as well. I'll definitely connect offline. And yeah, this is awesome. Thanks.
Thank you to you both. Thank you for all the participants and your amazing questions. Again, this will be uploaded so you can revisit it. I cannot thank you both enough. This is incredible. And I will send you both some emails with some follow-up information after this. Thank you to everyone. Have a great weekend. And thanks again. Take care.
Thank you so much.